The Empire never saw them as a threat. The Empire ruled the stars for more than 1,000 years. Its fleets were massive, its weapons feared, and its name alone was enough to silence entire worlds. Every species in the galaxy knew one simple truth: resistance was pointless. The Imperial Council believed they understood every race they had conquered. Some were strong but slow, some were clever but weak. All of them had failed. Humans were no different. At least that is what the Empire believed. Earth was a small blue planet at the edge of known space. Its people were classified as traders and explorers. They built ships for cargo, not for war. They spoke politely, followed rules, and avoided conflict. To the Empire, humans were harmless. Imperial records described them with one simple phrase: low-threat species. Because of this belief, the Empire began to push harder. They placed heavy taxes on human trade routes. They inspected Terran ships for no reason. They restricted human movement near border systems. Humans protested through words, not weapons. They sent messages, requests, and legal complaints. The Empire ignored them all. Inside the Imperial Council chamber, laughter was common when humans were mentioned. An admiral once said humans would surrender if someone raised their voice. Another claimed humans would fight only with words and papers. The Empire never noticed what humans did next. While diplomats spoke softly, Terran engineers worked in silence. Deep inside hidden shipyards, steel was shaped into warships, not slow ships, not heavy ships, but fast and precise ones. Human commanders did not boast. They did not threaten. They did not warn. They watched. They measured. They waited. The Empire saw this silence and felt proud. Silence meant fear to them. Fear meant victory. Soon, an Imperial scout fleet entered a human border system. It was a routine mission, nothing special. Scan the area, show the flag, remind the humans who was in control. The scouts detected empty space. No patrols, no defenses, no resistance. The Empire was pleased. One scout ship moved deeper into the system. Its sensors picked up something strange: energy readings that did not match human trade ships. For a moment, the captain hesitated. Humans were not supposed to have military signals like this. It had to be a mistake. The scout tried to send a report back to command. The signal began to transmit. Then it stopped. The ship vanished from Imperial sensors without an explosion, without debris, without warning. Imperial command marked it as a technical failure. Machines fail. Crews make mistakes. There was no reason to worry about humans. Back on Earth, Terran leaders received confirmation. The first test was complete. The Empire still believed the lie had told itself. Humans were weak. Humans were afraid. Humans would never fight. That belief was exactly what humans needed. Because when the Empire finally looked again, it would be too late. The Empire never saw them as a threat. And that was the beginning of its greatest mistake. The Empire did not worry about one lost scout ship. Ships were lost all the time in deep space. Mechanical failure, navigation error, or simple bad luck. To the Empire, humans were still weak. One missing ship did not change that belief. In the Imperial Council, the discussion was short. The report was closed. The humans were ignored. Once again, silence followed from the Empire's view. Human space became quiet. No protests, no messages, no complaints. The Council saw this as proof of fear. They believed humans had finally accepted their place. An Imperial admiral spoke with confidence. The humans have learned their lesson. They will not resist. The Empire decided to move forward. A larger fleet was sent toward the human border. Not a war fleet, just enough ships to remind humans who ruled the galaxy as the fleet moved. Soldiers laughed and shared stories. Some joked about visiting Earth one day. Others talked about how easy humans would be to control. No one prepared for a real fight. The fleet crossed into Terran space. Once again, there was no response. No warning shots. No messages. The Empire took this silence as surrender. What they did not know was that humans were listening. Every Imperial signal was tracked. Every movement was recorded. Terran commanders spoke very little. Orders were short and clear. Positions were locked in place. The Terran fleet did not rush. They waited in the dark between stars, hidden behind moons, asteroids, and deep space shadows. Human ships ran cold. No lights, no noise, no energy spikes. 2 Imperial sensors. Space looked empty. Inside the Imperial fleet, confidence grew. The Admiral ordered deeper movement into the system. They believed humans were already defeated. Then something strange happened. Imperial sensors flickered, just for a second. Thousands of signals appeared, then they vanished. Officers checked their systems. They blamed faulty equipment. No alarms were raised. That moment was all humans needed. Terran ships shifted position. Perfect timing, perfect silence. The Empire fleet moved straight into a trap without knowing it. At the edge of the system, a Terran command ship observed everything. Human officers watched, calm and focused. There was no anger, only control. The Terran Admiral gave a single order, hold. The Empire fleet continued forward. Every second made retreat harder. Every second tightened the invisible net. Back on Earth, civilian life continued as normal. People worked, studied, and slept. Peacefully, they trusted their fleet. Humans had learned long ago. The best weapon was not noise. It was patience. The Empire believed silence meant fear. They never imagined silence could mean preparation. As the Imperial fleet reached the center of the system, all Terran ships were in position. Weapons were charged. Targets were locked. Still, no human message was sent. The Empire smiled in victory, unaware that the silence around them was not empty. It was watching, and when that silence finally broke, the galaxy would understand one truth. Humanity did not need to shout, because when humans chose to speak, they spoke with fire. The Imperial fleet moved deeper into the system with full confidence. They believed the humans had already lost. No warnings, no resistance, no signs of danger. The Admiral of the Empire stood on the bridge, calm and proud. He had fought many wars. This did not feel like one. Outside the view, the space looked empty and silent. Stars burned softly in the distance. Nothing moved. Then space changed. Without sound, without light, something shifted. Sensors screamed to life all at once. Thousands of signals appeared across Imperial screens. Officers froze. They had never seen numbers like this before. Before anyone could speak, space itself seemed to open. Dark shapes emerged from nothing. Not jumping in, not warping, but revealing themselves. The Terran fleet had arrived. Row after row of human warships filled the void. Sleek, sharp, and perfectly aligned. They did not rush. They did not spread out. They held formation like a single living machine. Imperial officers shouted reports. Too many ships, too many weapons. Energy levels beyond known human limits. The Admiral's confidence cracked for the first time. Humans were never supposed to have a fleet like this. They were traders, explorers, weak. Terran ships moved with purpose. No wasted motion, no panic. The first Imperial destroyer exploded without warning. No dramatic charge, no long battle. One precise strike. Silence followed. Then another Imperial ship vanished, and another, human. Weapons were clean and fast. They hit engines, command centers, and power cores. Imperial ships lost control before they could return fire. The Empire tried to respond. Orders were shouted. Formations broke. But the Terran fleet moved faster. Human ships flowed around Imperial defenses, striking from angles no one expected, then disappearing again into darkness. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was confused in battle. Imperial weapons fired wildly. Most shots hit nothing. The Terran fleet was already gone from those positions on the Terran command ship. The Admiral watched silently. Human officers spoke only when needed. Targets confirmed. Strikes executed. There was no celebration. This was not revenge. This was correction. The Empire lost ship after ship, not in chaos, but in order. Every destroyed vessel sent a message. Humans were not weak. Humans were ready. Finally, all Terran ships stopped firing at once. They held position, surrounding the remaining Imperial fleet. The sudden silence was worse than the battle. Then a signal cut through every Imperial channel. Clear, calm, and human. This is Terran Fleet Command. You have entered protected human space. The Imperial bridge fell quiet. No one spoke. No one moved. The human voice continued, steady and cold. This is not a warning. Imperial officers felt something new. Not anger, not pride, fear. Because, in that moment, the Empire understood the truth. Humans had never been silent because they were afraid. They were silent because they were preparing. And now, the Terran fleet was done preparing. Why humans fight differently, the Empire tried to understand what was happening. Their records, tactics, and old victories gave no answers. Nothing explained how humans had changed the battle so fast. Imperial commanders believed strength meant size, more ships, bigger guns, louder power. That belief had never failed them before. But humans did not fight that way. As the battle paused, Imperial analysts searched human history. They looked for clues. What they found disturbed them. Humanity was born on a dangerous world, a planet with storms, earthquakes, and endless conflict from the beginning. Humans learned to adapt or die. They fought each other for survival. They rebuilt after every disaster. They learned from every mistake. Humans did not seek war. But when war came, they studied it carefully. On Earth, wars were not clean. They were chaotic, fast, and unforgiving. Victory did not belong to the strongest. It belonged to the one who learned faster. That lesson shaped Terran battle doctrine. Human ships were not designed to look powerful. They were designed to think. Every system could act alone. Every ship could change its role in seconds. Imperial fleets followed strict patterns. Humans broke patterns on purpose. When Imperial weapons locked on, human ships were already gone. When Imperial shields rose, human strikes hit somewhere else. The Empire tried to regroup. They formed defensive lines. They called for reinforcements. Humans anticipated this. Terran decoy ships appeared on sensors, drawing fire, pulling Imperial forces apart, while the Empire chased ghosts. Real Terran ships struck supply vessels and command nodes, cutting coordination piece by piece. Confusion spread through Imperial ranks. Orders conflicted, signals crossed. Humans thrived in this chaos. On the Terran command ship, the Admiral spoke quietly. Phase 2, that was all. Human ships shifted. Tactics, instantly. New attack angles, new targets, new traps. The Empire struggled to react. Their systems were powerful but slow, built for enemies who fought like them. Imperial captains began to feel hunted, not overwhelmed, but outmatched. They realized humans were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting to remove a threat, quickly and completely. As the Empire tried to pull back, they discovered another problem. The Terran fleet had already positioned itself behind them. Escape routes vanished. Jump points were blocked. The system became a closed cage. At the center of it all, the Imperial flagship slowed, its massive frames suddenly vulnerable. Terran targeting systems locked on, not to destroy it, but to stop it. The Empire understood too late. Humans wanted them alive, so the message would spread. Overconfidence had brought the Empire here, and human strategy would make sure the galaxy remembered it. As Terran weapons charged once more, the Imperial flagship drifted helplessly, and the Empire waited to see what humans would do next. The Empire begins to break. The Imperial flagship drifted in space. Its engines were damaged. Its shields were weak. For the first time, it could not command the battle. Across the system, Imperial ships felt the change. Orders stopped coming. Signals were delayed or lost. Confusion spread like a disease. The Empire had always depended on control, clear chains of command, perfect obedience. Without that, their strength began to collapse. Some Imperial captains tried to fight on. They charged forward with heavy weapons, hoping power alone would save them. The Terran fleet answered with precision. Human ships did not meet force with force. They slipped aside, struck weak points, then vanished again. One by one, Imperial vessels lost engines, lost weapons, lost direction. Terran attacks were careful. They avoided unnecessary destruction. They disabled rather than erased. This confused the Empire even more. Why not finish them? Why not crush them completely? The answer became clear as panic grew. Imperial allies watching from nearby systems began to retreat. They had never seen the Empire struggle like this. If the Empire could bleed, it could fall. Some ships tried to flee. Jump drives charged. Emergency routes activated. Terran ships were already waiting, blocking escape points, forcing Imperial vessels to power down or be disabled. Inside the Imperial flagship, officers argued. Voices rose. Accusations flew. The Empire had no plan for this kind of enemy. A senior commander finally spoke the truth. These humans do not fight to win territory, they fight to end the threat. That realization brought fear. The Terran fleet sent another message, calm, clear, and repeated on all channels. Leave human space, power down your weapons. There was no anger in the words, no pride, just certainty. Some Imperial captains obeyed. Weapons went dark, ships slowed, Others refused, driven by fear or pride. Those ships did not last long. Terran strikes removed engines and command decks, leaving them drifting and silent. The message was impossible to ignore. Back on the Imperial capital world, the Emperor watched the battlefields. What he saw shattered centuries of belief. The Empire was not losing to a larger force, it was losing to a smarter one. Emergency protocols were activated. An official transmission was prepared. The Emperor himself would speak. This had never happened before. As the signal was sent, Terran ships held their fire, waiting. Across the system, the battlefield grew quiet. Broken ships floated in silence. Survivors waited in fear. The Empire had always ruled through dominance. Now it faced something worse. An enemy that did not need to prove its strength. The Imperial transmission reached the Terran command ship. Human officers listened carefully, faces calm, no celebration. They knew this moment mattered more than destruction, because when an empire begins to beg, the galaxy listens. And humanity was about to decide how this war would be remembered. Overconfidence was the Empire's greatest mistake. The Imperial transmission echoed across the silent battlefield. The Emperor's voice was calm, but the fear beneath it was clear. He spoke of misunderstandings, of peace, of respect. For the first time in its long history, the Empire was asking, not ordering. The Terran command ship received the message. Human officers listened without emotion. No cheers, no anger. They had not come for apologies. The Terran admiral stood slowly. His voice carried across every channel, clear and steady. This conflict ends now. You will withdraw from human space. You will not return. There were no threats. None were needed. The Empire agreed, one system at a time. Imperial ships powered down, weapons shut off, engines slowed. Terran ships watched closely, ready, silent. As the Imperial fleet began its retreat, the galaxy watched. Neutral worlds, allied systems, hidden observers. They had never seen the Empire leave a battlefield alive. They had never seen it lose without being destroyed. That image spread faster than any weapon. Humans did not chase the retreating fleet. They did not expand their borders. They did not claim new systems. They simply held their line. This confused many observers. Victory usually meant conquest, but humans chose restraint because for humanity, the message was more important than territory. The Empire had underestimated them. That was its true failure. In the weeks that followed, Imperial laws were rewritten. Human trade restrictions were removed. Border systems were declared neutral. Other species began to rethink their own positions. If humans could stop the Empire, then the galaxy was not as hopeless as once believed. On Earth, life continued quietly. There were no grand parades, no statues raised. Humans returned to work, study, and exploration, prepared, watchful. The fleet remained active, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Imperial historians struggled to explain the defeat. They searched for secret weapons, hidden allies, impossible technology. But the truth was simple. The Empire lost because it believed its own legend. It believed size meant strength. That fear meant control. Humans believed something else. They believed preparation mattered more than pride. That silence could be a shield. That survival required adaptability. The galaxy slowly learned a new rule. Humans were not aggressive by nature, but they were relentless when pushed. Centuries later, that battle would be remembered, not as the fall of the Empire, but as the moment it was humbled. The Empire had faced many enemies. Strong ones, clever ones, but humanity was different. They were ignored, they were underestimated, and they were ready. Overconfidence was the Empire's greatest mistake, because it taught the galaxy one final lesson. Never mistake human silence for weakness.